أنا هلأ متجهة إلى محافظة صعدة. إحنا الآن وصلنا محافظة صعدة.
I travelled throughout Sada. Sada is under the control of a group known as the Houthis. They go by another name as well, Ansar Allah. I wandered in Sada in search of good locations to put my camera to document the situation there, until I was attacked by extremists who rejected anyone who had different political, religious and sectarian views. They expressed their refusal by shouting, insulting, slandering and threatening to kill me. Many of them rejected me because I was a woman, even though I had come to highlight some of the issues they faced. In Sada, death is more important than life. Death to America. Death to Israel. Damn the Jews. Victory for Islam. The mantra of the Houthis in posters everywhere we turned, glamorizing death in the minds and eyes of the children. Cemeteries were filled with flowers, homes haunted by death, and people were clearly struggling to survive. As I tried to film the devastation around me, a man picked up a stone and threatened to throw it at me as he pushed filthy stray dogs towards me in an attempt to frighten me. It was time I left Sada. On October 14th, 2018, I went to Assem. I passed more than 10 security checkpoints under the control of Ansar Allah. At the final checkpoint ahead of Assem, the security guards refused our entry. Despite the efforts of my colleagues who had been assigned to accompany us and monitor our work, they failed to convince the guards to let us enter. We would only be given permission on the condition that 2 representatives from Ansar Allah's military media also accompanied us to Assem.
الوضع ما كان سهل. به ناس مخربين والمعذرة منكم إذا
Finally, I arrived in Assem. Famine had left its signature on the features and bodies of the people there. I wandered around looking for a suitable angle to set up the camera. These people's lives needed to be photographed. Their plight needed a lens to show their suffering to the world. Women in Assem are the first victims of ignorance, which is further extended to the children, a symptom of the lack of education.
I have 8 kids. 2 of them are sick. 1 girl has malnutrition and 1 boy is sick. The boy has epilepsy since 11 years. I could not find him any treatment or any help. My daughter, 8 months old, she came out to this world sick. She was admitted to the Makiya Center, and I could not find any assistance to treat her, or any money or even transportation to move her around. We are obstructed from everything.
Did you try to breastfeed her?
How can I breastfeed her when I don't have milk?
What is your daily meal?
We eat the tree's leaves, us and our children, in the morning, evening, and night.
When do you have the chance to eat meat? This raises questions about the role of the Houthi government and the international organizations, especially as this region is not affected by the flames of war. One of Aslam's residents whispered, "All we need is the tools of agriculture to cultivate our fertile land so that we can eat what we grow." What he said next shocked me immensely. No one cooperates with us from the government of Ansar Allah. They want to keep us in this miserable situation. Another said, "Our humanitarian aid is sold in the markets in front of our eyes."
No one responds to us. No organizations, no sheikhs, no supporters of Ansar Allah.
I had to pay for the tent.
Aid organizations provide assistance to the local council, and the local council distributed whichever way they see fit.
I asked a director of a local organization about the obstacles. He said,
NGOs reported that they sometimes cannot access places because of the de facto authorities. This means that the military forces or the authorities responsible for them do not facilitate the transfer or humanitarian aid and resort to extortion and sometimes more than that. The NGOs have a list of specific names that they deal, even if they announce transparency in projects, but they have a previous list to be dealt with. Stop recording. In Sana'a, the de facto authorities tightened the grip on human rights activists. The organizations were stopped, confiscated, looted, seized their accounts, chased journalists, arrested and held them accountable. Employees within the international organizations worked to support their relatives to establish their own civil society and local organizations to manipulate the projects.
Mohammed al-Malahi, the military correspondent of Ansar Allah al-Houthis, dictated what to say to some of the residents of Aslam, and these citizens were compliant without any objection.
What is your response to human rights organizations who claim to defend human rights, who assume to defend people and human beings?
They are dying of hunger, dying of hunger.
You are standing right here and watching your children dying of hunger.
We appreciate the organization's efforts.
No.
We demand the human rights organizations to do the work. Rescue us. We are a marginalized group. May God have mercy on us.
Who is the cause of your siege?
The brutal American aggression.
Tell us about the siege, the hunger, and the American-Saudi Arabia aggression. And tell the United Nations that our children die of hunger. Shout loud your bitterness to them.
Do not add any burden on me.
We heard the name of Almighty God.
The cause of hunger that we are in now is the vicious aggression. The Saudi aggression.
We thank the owners of the program who came to us to hear our complaints of this brutal violence on us and on our children and on our possessions. Thanks a lot.
Say loudly that we ask the United Nations to lift the siege on Yemeni people, so our children are dying of hunger.
We desperately demand the United Nations to lift this unhuman siege upon us and upon our dying children.
We discovered that the health center had rudimentary capabilities. The women here and their children are just waiting for death. We spoke with Makia Al-Aslami, the centre's director.
When a mother puts water in household pots contaminated with sediments and pollution and has no choice but to drink from it directly without boiling, since boiling needs gas, but unfortunately gas and oil are not available. We cook the leaves in boiled water. We brought it from a place far away. After it is ready, we mash it with a touch of oil and eat it with bread. If no, we eat it with no bread. The organizations that are placed in Assem, we do not feel reflect reality. Despite the existence of the World Food Programme, UNICEF and Oxfam, and all the other organizations, yet severe and devastating malnutrition is still present. There is an organization called Fight Against Hunger. Shame on this organization to know that in Assem, 264 children still suffer from severe malnutrition. We have Doctors Without Borders and IDRA organization and others who are able to treat this child from the medical complications.
I returned to the Al Sabin hospital in the capital, Sana'a, where Aslam children have been taken. There was no tangible sign of the Houthi government's presence in the provinces I visited. I did not find any efforts to address residents' suffering. I tried to reach the relevant officials in the ministries, but they all refused to meet me.
We are from Hajja, a district of Assem. They said he suffers from diarrhea. We checked him into a hospital in Hudaydah for a month and 10 days, that he has a hole in his heart, and transported us to a hospital in Hajja. We stayed there for 10 days. Then they advised us to treat him in a hospital in Sana'a, the capital. But we eventually took him back to Hudaydah, which is closer to us, due to the lack of money, which forced us with distress to take our child back home. But his condition got severely worsened, so we rushed him back to the Makia Center, and from there we carried him to Sana'a.
How many children do you have?
I have 5 boys and this son.
How old are you?
I guess 30 or 35. We are from Assem.
How old is he?
2 years and a half.
How much does he weigh?
6 kilos.
What exactly does your son suffer from?
He has diarrhea and vomiting. I have 5 girls and this son.
And how old are you?
I swear I don't know, but maybe 10.
Are you 10 years old?
Yes.
In Assem, there is little impact from the work of international organizations, despite the campaigns launched by them to face Assem famine. Where are these organizations now? This question was raised to Dr. Shirin Vaki, Deputy Head of the UNICEF office in Yemen.
District of Assem, we have immediately deployed a large number of community volunteers there. We have also scaled up the health response, and very importantly, we have also reached out to 5,000 vulnerable households in Assem with emergency cash support. We are trying to ensure that in 15 cities, the water supply systems continue to function by providing almost 4 million liters of fuel every month. Besides this, we also have many programs where we use mass media like television, radio, and also social media approaches to spread messages of proper health and nutrition practices. In many of these rural areas in Yemen, the reach of mass media and internet and social media is very low.
And my husband is sick and out of work.
May I ask a question? Why do you continue to bear children when your husband is out of work?
Should I not give birth? How so? And what do I do in order not to bear?
Take pills?
Some of us do not tolerate the pills.
Injection?
I also don't tolerate that.
Then let your husband have the injection. The intention is not to bear children to suffer in this life.
I was not fortunate to interview one single woman who had the chance to gain education through the UNICEF campaign, in spite of me travelling through 4 or 5 provinces.
We have a comprehensive program for awareness raising in the country, and this is specifically targeted on women. We have more than 11,000 community volunteers and community educators who are spread across the country, and they go house to house. It is a special food for children suffering from severe and acute malnutrition. This should be available in almost 2,000 sites across the country.
Food was cut off from children who need Al-Mam milk. For 6 months, the organisations didn't provide the food faithfully, which caused a gap between Sam and Mam, and in between what is normal, which led to severe acute malnutrition.
We work through our partners, and these partners are government authorities, national NGOs, international NGOs, as well as the community themselves, which is dedicated to monitoring all the services we provide. In addition to this, we have hired third-party companies who help us monitor across the country.
Politics and intellectual ideologies have dug their claws in deeply and left their effects across all the Yemeni people, especially the women and children. This has been particularly noticeable since September 2014, the year Ansar Allah took control of the capital Sana'a by force. The elected President Hadi appealed to the world and Arab countries for military intervention, which led to the formation of the alliance headed by Saudi Arabia. The men picked leaves from the trees to prepare a miserable meal, a task that needed half an hour to prepare. No one cares about cleanliness. Everything in the place is unclean. Water, food, utensils, and there is that health dangers of smoke from burning plastic materials. The cooked leaves are prepared with a little bit of grounded garlic to make them edible. Speed and dexterity are required to obtain a bite of food. The lucky ones might even get 2. I left Aslam and the child who will continue his desperate search for food to feed his unbearable hunger as he waits for his next meal. You are not able to swallow, but are you able to smile at me? Because you figured it out. What is your name?
He told you, Assem.
I promise, God willing, to spread your voice out there. I left Aslam, but Aslam did not leave me. Aslam continues to haunt me from within.